Time for the message. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are so glad that you are here. Let me see if this works. Or, Daniel, I just might have you do the slides. And let me see. Yeah, I think we're going to have you do it, buddy. And voila! My message this morning. A time for everything? Maybe. Maybe not. How much time do you have to do not just what you want to do, but what God needs you to do? There's a story in the scriptures, it's actually found in the book of Acts, a story about a guy named John Mark. Let me tell you a little bit about him. John Mark was an evangelist. And I know how John Mark felt because I'm also an evangelist. And John Mark had a passion. He looked forward to going out and sharing the good news with people who didn't know Yeshua. I mean, what a wonderful calling. And by the way, God has given that to all of us. In one sense or another, you know that, well, I'm not an evangelist. Oh, yes, you are. Well, I don't think I am. Well, God called you to it. You know, in Matthew 28, when Yeshua got together with his disciples, he gave them what's called the Great Commission. He said, I want you guys to go out and make other disciples, to share the good news. And that's a calling not just for somebody with the title of evangelist, it's a calling for each and every one. But John Mark was particularly excited because he got to go on a journey with very important and prominent people in his day. One of them was a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Shaul or Paul, and the other was a guy named Barnabas. And they decided, and this was John Mark's first ever missionary journey. And he's like, where are we going? And they say, we're going to Cyprus. It's like, great. So they get in a boat. They were in northern Israel, and they off to Cyprus because this is an area where you know it's new. It's breaking ground. People need to know Yeshua. And somewhere along the line in Cyprus, John basically said, yeah, you know, I don't want to do this anymore with you guys. And so he went home. The Bible doesn't tell us why he decided to split up from the group. There's speculation. Some Bible scholars think, well, he got homesick, or maybe his efforts weren't as you know, big or, you know, as he thought it would be. Maybe he wanted to see a whole lot of people come to Yeshua, and maybe they were giving him a hard time. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is he left. And when he left, as you might imagine, Rabbi Shaul or Paul and Barnabas got really upset because they were counting on him. And there were hurt feelings for a very long time. And some years later, they reconciled. You might not know or hear more about John Mark in those books in the book of Acts, but what's interesting is that John Mark actually wrote a book, and that book that he wrote, it's one of the books in the Bible. And it's the one that I want you to turn to now, because John Mark went by another name, simply Mark. So turn to the book of Mark, everyone, chapter 1, for the book of Mark, one of the apostles. And one of the things that I want to tell you about Mark that you need to know is, and of course we have the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew's Gospel written mostly to Jewish people. Mark's Gospel written mostly to Gentiles. And by four, it's believed by scholars that Mark is the earliest of all of the four. And each one of these writers had a different purpose for writing something about Yeshua. Mark really was writing to Gentiles, not only in Israel, but also in Greece and Turkey, because the word had gone out, and he wanted them to understand Jewish culture and Jewish customs so they could understand who Yeshua was and why he did certain things and why making disciples was so important to Yeshua. And he felt that anybody who read what he wrote would be able to use Yeshua as a great example. How many of you know Yeshua is the best example for anything? And so in Mark chapter 1, and by the way, this is the very beginning of Yeshua's ministry in Mark chapter 1. So what I want to do is I want to take us through verses 35 through 38. Just 4 verses about something Yeshua does early by verse And no, I don't know why it's cutting out. Just bring me microphone after microphone. I'll use each one. Don't worry about it. But we'll start with verse 35. We'll go through each verse. And we're going to see if we have a time for everything. I want to begin in Mark chapter 1, verse 35. Mark chapter 1, verse 35, it says, very early, while it was still night, Yeshua got up and left and went away to a place in the wilderness, and there Yeshua was praying. Okay, it's good, but it really doesn't fill in the picture, so let me give you some context here. The scene is Capernaum. Capernaum is in northern Israel. It's right on the northern edge of the Sea of Galilee, and Yeshua is there, no surprise. Yeshua spent most of his ministry in Capernaum. Yeshua is staying at the home of two of his disciples. By the way, since this is the beginning of his ministry, he's just gone out to choose his first disciples. And there are two of them who have a house in Capernaum. One was named Simon, and the other was named Andrew. Simon and Andrew recently moved to Capernaum. How do we know that? Well, they prior to moving to Capernaum, they lived together in a place called Bethsaida. It wasn't too far away, maybe about 5 miles from Capernaum or so. Now, Sandy and I recently moved here in Phoenix. In fact, we've been here in Phoenix, like 28 years now or something? We've been here in Phoenix 28 years. I've lost count. But in 28 years, what did we move, like 37 times or something like that? We just keep moving. And to me, when I hear like about two guys who are living in one place and then you move, because every move has been like major. I mean, we were living up kind of like Pinnacle Peak, and then we moved to Chandler, and then we kind of moved this way or that. The only place we haven't moved is the Santan Valley. But we've moved, but Simon and Andrew had been living in Bethsaida, only about five miles away from Capernaum. Why move 5 miles? Because the rabbi who had called them to be his disciples carried out his ministry in Capernaum. And it was Jewish custom at the time that if you found a rabbi whose teaching that you wanted to sit under, and that rabbi was living in another town, another city, guess what? You moved to be where that rabbi was so that you didn't miss any of the rabbi's teaching. And so Yeshua was staying over at their home, and it says, while it was still night, it was very early, Yeshua got up and he left the house and he went away to a place in the wilderness, and when he got there, he was praying. Okay, so it's a place in the wilderness. Let me tell you a little bit more about that place. Actually, you want to see what the place looked like? Now I want you to brace yourself. It's on the next slide. And go ahead, Daniel. How do you do this? Just give it. There it is, my friends. If that's not wilderness, I don't know what is. So it's a place in the wilderness. It's a cave in the wilderness. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. This cave is in what's called Eremas Grotto in Israel. For those of you who have gone on tours of Israel, in the northern part of the Galilee, sometimes they take you to a place called the Church of the Primacy. This is like a stone's throw from that. And the reason that it's called Eremos Grotto is because Eremos is the original language word for the word wilderness. So it's basically wilderness grotto, and it's believed this is where Yeshua went when he wanted to, in the middle of the night, while it's still dark, go to a place in the wilderness, a single, solitary, desolate place where he could spend alone time with God. By the way, the wilderness, that word eremos, has an even deeper definition. Listen to this. It refers to a place, you ready? Deprived of the aid and the protection of others, specifically of friends, acquaintances, and family. In other words, if you were looking for a place where you could be absolutely sure that nobody would find you, it's the place. And by the way, 2,000 years later, it's still the place. There are, I would say, the vast majority of people who go on tours to Israel have never heard of this place. They've never been there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go this morning now on our tour. Eremo Krat, no Israel tour operator ever. Nobody goes there. They don't know where it is. They don't care where it is. And so Yeshua is there praying. He's at the right place because nobody goes there. He's at the right time because it's probably like between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And at this time of the year, because remember, he just started his ministry. You start your ministry according to Torah. You can start it on your 30th birthday. If he's born on Sukkot and his ministry lasts for, let's say, about 3.5 years or so, and then do the math, because right around this time he just spent 40 days wandering in the wilderness. You kind of maybe, I don't know, late fall in Capernaum, Israel. Sun doesn't rise until 6 in the morning. So he's got time to pray. He's in the right place. He's there at the right time. And so nobody should be looking for him. He's having his alone time with the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and no one is going to disturb him. Isn't that great? Yeah, right, because let's go on to Mark 1:36. It says, "Then Simon and those with him went to look for him." Went to look for Yeshua. That's how most Bible translations give this to you. They say, well, they went to look for him. No. It's actually more than that. The original language scripture says, look, they didn't just go to look for him. They hunted him down. They had a special task. They got a search party. They got a posse together saying, we got to find this guy. Now, why would they be doing this at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning? But they're going out, they're going to try and find them. Obviously, this must be a matter of great urgency. We can't wait till sunrise. We've got to find them right now. Well, guys, good luck. Because according to the way this place is described, get away from everybody, friends, family, acquaintances. Trust me, they're not going finds you. Nobody ever finds who they're looking for here. Why? Because nobody ever goes here. So guys, I guess you'll just have to wait, Simon and others, until Yeshua gets back. And Yeshua, besides that, he came here to pray, so he should have that time alone. Even though there's a search party coming after him, how many of you know they're not going to find him? Verse 37 happens. It says, and when they found him, oh, wait, what? They found him? They said to him, everybody's looking for you. At 5 o'clock in the morning? Why isn't everybody asleep? That's called being normal. You don't look for anybody at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, especially since it's a Sunday morning, by the way. Well, Rabbi, how do you know that? I'll show you when we go on. Sunday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's a search party going out looking for Yeshua. What are you doing? Go back to bed and go to sleep. I don't understand how people in the middle of the can go out and try and find other people. And the reason I don't understand this is because some years ago, this happened to Sandy and I. I'll refresh your memory. You remember this story. Our son Ryan was living with us, and he had a friend named Josh. And they were good buddies, and Josh would come over to the house. And Josh was a good kid, but he kind of reminded me, for those of you who can go back this far, like Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Zimmerman. How are you? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to kill this kid. But anyway, I mean, truly nice kid. And then, so one night while Sandy and I are asleep, what was it, honey, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, doorbell rings. Now, all of you know, we're living in a day and time where nobody rings our doorbell. And even if they ring it in the daytime, automatically something is wrong. Anytime somebody rings my doorbell in the daytime, I get worried because no, for the 99th time, I don't want your solar panels. It's okay. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the doorbell rings. Oh my gosh. What's the first thing parents you think? Has something happened to one of my kids? And I open the door, and here's Josh. And he says, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Zimmer." I'm like, "Oh, shut up. What are you doing here at 2 in the morning?" He said something like, and he was riding home. He said, "I was riding home, and he said, is Ryan home?" And I'm thinking, you should let him sleep. What are you doing here? Well, I just wanted to get together with him. And we said, "Josh, go home and go to bed." And so he did, but to this day, we still don't know what he was doing. Nobody bothers you in the middle of the night. And everybody, though, in the middle of the night is looking for Yeshua. It must be urgent. It's got to be urgent because, listen, he's taking this time to spend in prayer. And actually, it wasn't that urgent and it wasn't that important. It could have waited. Let me ask you a question. Anybody impose on your time when they shouldn't be? Anybody asking for you to give of your time, saying, "Listen, something is urgent. You got to help me right now." And you're trying to do something else, maybe spend alone time with the Lord, and people are trying to redirect you or misdirect you. What can we do to guard our time? And so they come to Yeshua and they say, "Listen, everybody needs you." What did they need him for? Well, you see, the day before, Yeshua had taught them and preached to them in Capernaum, and he wanted him to come on back. There was no urgency. Nobody was dying. They just wanted him to come back. It's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So here's Yeshua's response. He said to them, he said, "Look, I know you want me to go back and they want me to come to see them, but I've already shared with them. I can't do what they want me to do. I have to do what God the Father has called me to do and manage my time. So now what we need to do, we got to go to the neighboring towns too, because if I spend too much time here in Capernaum, I won't be able to share the gospel, to share the word with people in other places, and I can proclaim the message there. Because listen, this is what I was called for. This is what I came for." Remember I said a few minutes ago that this was on a Sunday? Here's how you know. We know because in your Bibles, by the way, in verse 21, it says that the day before was a Shabbat. It was a Saturday. And let me tell you what Yeshua's schedule was the day before, just so you know. In verse 21, here's what happened the day before in Mark 1, verse 21. First, he went to the synagogue. Of course, it was his custom on Shabbat. And then he went up to teach and preach in that synagogue. And then after he did that, there was a guy in the congregation who had a demon, and so he cast the demon out from him. And then after that, the service was over, he goes to Simon and Andrew's house, because now it's time to relax. Wrong. Simon's mother-in-law has a fever, so now he go heal her. And then after he does that, after sundown, the people in the town bring to Yeshua everybody who's sick, everybody who's got a disease, everybody who needs to have a demon cast out of them. He does it all so that by the time the day is over, he is absolutely exhausted. He goes to sleep. And after spending the whole day before helping and encouraging others, drawing them closer to God, he says, "You know, it's okay. I've carved out this little piece of time early in the morning on Sunday so that I can have my alone time with God, because just as I have been filling them, I need to be filled and renewed and revived and restored." And he did it. And people tried to take that away from him as well. When you want to take the time and the opportunity to spend alone time with God, sometimes in our day and time, that can be a real challenge because there's a lot going on and everyone is vying for your time. Sometimes maybe you feel bad because you say, you know, I want to do this for this person. I want to do this for this person. And I don't like saying no. Listen to me. Our first responsibility is not to be a people pleaser. It's to be a God pleaser. It's the right thing to do, but it doesn't always come easy. You may actually have to fight, not literally, for your alone time with God, and not everybody's going to be happy about it. I'll tell you a quick story. At Jewish Voice, I love talking with people on the phone and answering Bible questions. And one time I was on the phone with someone new to Messianic Judaism. Steve, I shared this story with you when we got together early this week. And they have lots of questions. And so I spent about 45 minutes with them on the phone just answering their question, one question after another. And they said, Rabbi, thank you so much. Welcome. And they said, Rabbi, they said, you know, there's your Rabbi, you have answered my question so well, I would like you to be my mentor. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. Because, you know, what she says, because Rabbi, what I want to do, and here's my idea, I want to call you every day, and I'm going to have lots of questions for you. And Rabbi, I'm also planning to write a 500-page book about my life, and I want you to edit it for me. Would that be okay? No. That's not what I told her, but that's what I felt. Actually, I was so moved by her request. I mean, it's wonderful, but I'm thinking, I don't have the time to do this. So I said, thank you. I'm humbled. I'm honored that you would ask me to be your mentor. That's a very, very important responsibility. You would want someone who can be there for you when you need them, as per what you've said, and I can't be that person. So I'm sorry, I have to say no. I mean, I couched my response kind of like letting her down gently, like like the panel on Shark Tank does. Did you ever watch it? Watch Shark Tank the next time and listen to the wording they use when they have to let somebody down. And they do it so easily. You know, it's kind of like, well, you know, your business plan is great. It's a wonderful product, but I'm already involved in 25 other companies producing the exact same thing. And if I were to join yours now, well, it would be a conflict of interest. So you're great, but for those reasons, thank you, you watched the show. So I told that to the person. Do you know they got upset with me? They were in disbelief that I actually said no. How could I have said no? Didn't I want to help? Sure. Did I have the time to help? Time that would, if it were taken away, would I still have time with the other things, including time to spend with God? Because listen, man, it's tough to spend time. It's tough to find time in prayer today. Julie, when you were up here earlier and you were leading us in the Lord's Prayer, how many of you have a fantastic prayer life and you're going, it's tough. Our schedules are busy. Time management isn't easy. In our Bible story, Yeshua's time with God the Father was interrupted. But you know something? This one-off time with Yeshua wasn't a one-off for him. And Luke 5:16 says of Yeshua that he would often slip away into the wilderness and pray. And I'm sure in those other instances where he did, his alone time with God the Father, let me tell you what it was. It was solace. It was bliss. It was uninterrupted. It strengthened him and encouraged him. And he needed to take that time, even though he might have had to say no to others. And if it was good enough for Yeshua to do, let's make it good enough for us to do as well. Manage your time. Don't be afraid to say no, because he comes first. Amen. Let me close us in a word of prayer. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Lord, It's interesting. I know that I'm not the only one who as I got older and older, said, I just want to live life much, much more simply. I want it to be uncomplicated. And instead, like everyone in here, our times, our lives, our schedules have gotten busier. Help us, Lord, to be able to do what Yeshua did. He set the example. Let's follow it in terms of prioritizing our time, so that as others desire and want so many things from us, and it's a beautiful thing for them too, so that they can be filled. Lord, first we need to be filled and renewed before we can give it out. And so help us to set aside those times when we can. In the precious and holy name of Yeshua, our Messiah, and everyone agreed and said, Amen.